Hello, everyone. I'm Dominique.
And I'm Christina, and we are the Connected in Glass podcast.
Every week, we will feature interviews with glass artists who speak to their creative processes and overcoming challenges.
These conversations are real and raw. We hope that by sharing these stories, you're able to find some connection and know that you're not alone.
We just wanted to take a moment to thank you for listening to our podcast. We're super passionate about this project and work for hours every week to bring you this content. So if you'd like to help support us, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/connectedinglass. Also, please consider joining our Facebook group, Connected in Glass Community, where we continue the conversations from these episodes. We'd love to hear from you.
This episode of Connected in Glass is sponsored by Diddy Clips. Diddy Clips has changed the way we film our glassblowing videos, and we're proud to be working with them. Today, we're interviewing Jessica Powers. Jessica is a glass artist based in Claremont, New Hampshire, who has been working with glass since 2007.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
We're so excited to get to know you. You want to just tell us, maybe skip the glass part of your life for now. Tell us a little bit about where you live, what you enjoy besides glass, and then kind of get us into your story of how you started working with glass.
All right. So I was from New Hampshire, spent most of my life in New Hampshire. Went to Arizona for a few years, but came back to New Hampshire. When I'm not doing class, I'm kind of outside usually. Right now, we just bought a house like a month ago and trying to get like a little outdoor like pass going on like the backyard. Just taking a lot of time because there was like some mess there, but like, yeah, it's been really nice to have like a distraction.
Buying a new house and moving, that's a big feat right now, especially with COVID, huh?
Yeah, luckily no one really wanted a small house, like a fixer-upper, so we got really lucky because we're spending a lot of time like looking and didn't think it was actually going to work out. And we're actually switched to looking at land to purchase, and then got lucky, got the listing, and yeah, it all happened really fast, but it was stressful.
Well, congratulations, and hopefully now it's just more the fun part of making it.
Yeah, definitely.
So you started working glass in 2007. How did that start?
So me and Andrea were making hemp jewelry, making just like with polymer clay beads, and we switched to using glass beads that we bought from like a local bead store. And while we were making the hemp jewelry, there was a PBS demonstration of someone making glass beads. So I was like, oh, I should look up if there's any places doing classes. So Sharon Art Center had a class, 3-hour work. And during the class, the instructor mentioned their friend was doing it full time. And that was like, I don't know what I wanted to do before, but now I do. So kind of looked into all the equipment like right when I got home and just kind of started working towards that.
So you knew right away that like 3 hours in, you're like, this is what I'm going to do.
It was more like 10 minutes in, but then like hearing that I could do it full time possibly, or at least someone else was doing it full time, it was like, because like for a while I just like in college, I couldn't figure out what I wanted to do. So I was switching majors. Then after a year, I dropped out. Still had no clue what I was going to do. So I was just kind of doing part-time jobs. And yeah.
And is Andrea your partner? And did they want to take the class with you, or you were just going to take that part on your own?
We're both really excited, and we both took the class and both wanted to get all the equipment. So yeah, we were both saving our paychecks little by little. Got like the map gas to start, just pulling stringers, then upgraded, and yeah, set up like a little studio in the garage.
And do they still do glass too, or is it just become more?
It's more of my thing. So for a little while, like in 2009, 2010, actually probably around 2010, we were renting a studio in Wilton, and we're doing good enough that we were both able to kind of do that full time. And that also was what allowed us to move to Arizona for a while. So once we moved to Arizona, Andrea kind of did more like part-time jobs and still did glass occasionally. But once we moved back to New Hampshire, she was focused on becoming like a paralegal or wanted to do something else for a little bit, just kind of making sure we could pay the bills and all that as well. And probably as we're kind of doing like with the home studio, they want to help more now and eventually kind of possibly maybe do it full time again. Like it might not be doing it the same exact way, like might branch out doing other things to kind of not always be doing glass. But yeah, I'm really excited about that part.
Glass is addicting. When you know, you know. So can you tell us a little bit about what kind of art you create now? Are you still making beads, or what are you kind of working on now?
So I use 104 COE soft glass for pretty much all my work currently. And for before I stopped working in 2017 and just started back up again just last month. So yeah, using soft glass. I make mostly now I'm focusing on making little alien sculptures. So they're like little one-eyed aliens and kind of making like them as animals or just kind of holding different objects. Like recently just made one holding a donut, like a super large donut. But yeah, I'm just kind of having fun trying to be more creative with like sculptures and doing some vessels on the side as well. But yeah, that's my current focus at the moment.
When you go out into the studio, do you already know what you're going to make, or do you kind of let the glass tell you what it's going to become? Do you have like a set idea plan for your days, or do you just kind of go with the flow?
All over the place. It like there's certain days where I'm kind of go in with like a set thing I want to make, but then as I'm making it, like I just see something else in the glass. So I'm like, oh, I'll actually just end up switching my whole plan and trying to just let my mind just go wherever. It's kind of taking each day where my mind needs to go. And sometimes I'll be able to stay on task, like if I need or want to make like certain aliens. But yeah, I get very distracted easily.
Do you have like a routine or schedule that you do, or is it more like when you're inspired to go out and work, you just kind of go and fire up?
I've been trying to be easier on myself. Part of the reason I stopped glass before was I was putting a lot of pressure on myself to like make a certain amount, and I was losing a lot of my creativity, and I felt like I got worse and worse. And so now taking that day by day as well, if I'm really creative, like I'll try to spend as much time in the studio, like certain days, like when I first got the studio set up again, there was days I was in there for like 10 or 12 hours. So it's once I'm going, like it's hard to stop. But then there's certain days where it's like I just feel very forced and I'd rather just be in the woods, like picking up sticks for a few hours or something. Yeah, I find it very peaceful doing that as well.
I was wondering if you could describe your new studio space, maybe what it is now, and then maybe how you see it progressing. And I was also wondering, you said you started with map gas, but you probably moved to maybe like a little minor torch or something, right? Because you're working with soft glass. And then also, are you doing all this build out yourself? Are you pretty handy, or are you kind of figuring it out as you go, or do you have resources to help you with like building up your new studio?
So for the studio, I'm doing it all myself. So kind of learning a few things as I go. So it's a 80 square foot studio, like a shed that's attached to the back of the house. It needs quite a bit of work, so I'm still figuring out if I'm gonna keep it or like disassemble it like in the spring and kind of move it about. But yeah, so I have a minor torch currently running on propane and an oxygen concentrator. Then I have a glass hive kiln behind me, which is nice. So then I have a pottery kiln that I need to get new elements for, which I've done that several times, so that part's not too bad. But yeah, I'm handy with certain things. So like I have to grab my pottery wheel from my parents, but I made like a whole pottery wheel, like a kick wheel, which is very peaceful. I don't have the motor going, which is nice. Because sometimes like the ventilation or the oxygen concentrator, just certain days, like the noises get to me. So where I kind of see it going, I just I'm kind of figuring all that out because I have so many ideas where I want to go, and I have to kind of remember that I don't have the time to do it all. So because I kind of want to like do like a small glass blowing setup, then do like I have a bunch of stained glass I have in storage. Want to do like electroforming for like all my glass, and yeah, just branch out as much as I can, explore.
So what other forms of art do you do besides glass? So you said you do ceramics and you do stained glass. Did you learn all that at the Sharon Arts Center, or did you just kind of pick it up along the way with life?
So Andrea ended up doing an internship Renaissance art class for like high school. So kind of got to learn how to do that through them. And then did glass blowing like intensive class at Snow Farm and then also Worcester Center. Then where was that? The other stuff. So lamp working, I've done a few classes, Sharon Art Center, then playing with fire. There was 2 classes there was one that kind of is how I kind of got into like making the aliens. It was with Piper Dooley, and so it was learned how to make like eye cane through that class, and it was with a Borasil kit, so learning how to like do layered cane. So I thought one-eyed little things would be easier, so that's kind of what I did during class. And once I got home, I just kept making like little aliens, but then once I switched over to soft glass, I stopped making aliens for quite a while. But I was taking a lot of what I learned with borosilicate that I was using for like a year or two, started to use all that skills I learned with soft glass. So yeah, it's kind of fun, like transferring some of the techniques and people being like, oh, this is Boro, right? And it's like, no, this is soft glass.
I love the eyeballs of your aliens. That's like what I've been staring at. Like they're so cute. And
Nice.
also I think it's so crazy that you learned that in Boro and then you were able to apply it to soft glass. Are you doing that because of your concentrator and because you have soft glass in stock, or is it because you like the way that the soft glass moves?
I think it's a combination of things. So I have only vision in like one eye really. So using like the darker shades, I wasn't really able to tell like when I was in the flame sometimes. And that I was using, like I linked up 2 concentrators at the time, so could melt Boro pretty good, but not really efficiently. So that, and just I did have both at like glass at the time. I think I started just wanting to use like silver leaf and stuff I had, but yeah, I'm not fully sure what made me do like the full shift over. But yeah, I definitely love how fast the soft glass melts compared to Boro, and even still like I feel like 104 still melts too slow at times. But then, yeah, there's sometimes it's like,
So, where did the inspiration for your little aliens come from? Or was it just like a thought that popped in your head one day and you're just like, I need to make these?
So I forget exactly. I was renting a studio in Phoenix, and I think I don't know if it was like a Facebook memory maybe popped up, and I just decided to try it in soft glass one day. Because at that point I was only like using soft glass, making beads and pendants. And then I was posting in like a auction group, and people just wanted more. So then they were throwing out ideas, or I was just kind of coming up with random ones as well. And so I was feeling really creative for like quite a while, but then I was slowly starting to shift to beads, and yeah, that was kind of losing my creativity.
Just like a little shift. I was wondering if, so it sounds like you and your partner have been together for a really long time, and you also have worked together on and off for a really long time. And it looks like you're kind of getting back into that a little bit more. I was wondering what it's like to like be with a partner for a very long time and also like almost build a business together. Do you have completely different personalities so you're able to meet different parts of the business, or do you just like compromise, or do you kind of like fight through it here and there?
So when we were doing it initially, we did like struggle to, like at certain times, like because it was like I wanted to buy like certain glass, but it was like we should wait. It's like I want glass now. So there were just times I just wanted to be kind of branching out, trying new things, but had to still pay bills and all that. And also we were trying to save as well. So I think at that point too, Andrea was doing 4 farmers markets a week. So they were doing all the sales for the most part for me. And like I tried to do like help out with some of the farmers markets, but after like a month or two, I just didn't like it. So like whenever Andrea wanted to use like the bathroom or something, I'm like, no, don't go, please. So like that was probably like when we were doing like the most successful like money wise. And then so like now I like had like people reach out like wanting to do some orders like before I started glass, so like they've been waiting since the summer. So I started back up, and I just was struggling like messaging people, like just it's been sitting in the inbox for like over a month like since I started, and I just couldn't. So I finally like the other day finally accepted Andrea's offer for help to like message. Like it's like Andrea's been like trying like offering help like since last year, since like tried to do like auction groups here and there, and like it's overwhelming at times, like the communicating part of the business. And it's yeah, I just want to like show my stuff and like not have to worry about that part. And so Andrew's helped with that, and gonna be kind of taking over with that part. So it's gonna be a lot less stressful for me, and just kind of get to create. And yeah, it's really nice.
That's so nice that you have a really supportive partner.
Yeah.
Like the communication part, like I will not post on social media sometimes for months just because I don't want to deal with messaging people back that like ask me questions or whatever. It's so hard sometimes. So it's really nice that you have a partner who like recognizes that need for you and reaches out and keeps reminding you it's okay to ask for help.
Yeah, and what's nice too is like a lot of people I don't like, they'll see my posts and not realize like some of my posts that are only like a paragraph long might be like hours of me like sitting there like processing it, like reading it, like thinking about it, like rereading it. and then like asking Andrea to look it over, and like still after that, like rereading it, reprocessing it. And so sometimes, yeah, it's easier not to post things. Like I have a lot of things I'll just save as like documents and like keep it in a folder, and maybe I'll post it later, maybe not. But yeah, I've also been patient with myself. Like sometimes like not posting, if I feel like sometimes posting is going to cause me more stress, just kind of giving myself like a day or two off or longer.
I think that's like one of the most beautiful things that you've said so far is just giving yourself patience. That's something that we all need to practice. It's okay to recognize that taking this action is going to take more out of you than you have to give. So just like letting it be.
Right.
So hard. It's also so hard to sell yourself a little bit. Like when you're making work, you're already vulnerable. And then to have to like sell it to other people and put prices on it and communicate with that, it's so hard.
Oh, yeah, definitely. So like I've kind of been, I had made like a alien like centipede bug like way back. I only made one of them. So like I've been seeing like the memory post from like, I think it was like 2014. So like every year I'm like reminded like I want to make this again. So yeah, it came up like during the summer, and so now I had it saved, and so I've been making a few of those, but now it's like, how do I price that? I'll figure it out eventually. So I have some like 4 just sitting on my desk right now, just staring at me.
Yeah, like how do you price something you've been contemplating and thinking about and analyzing since 2014? It's so hard. It's just
Yeah.
so hard. And like and then doing the auction group, sometimes it's like, yeah, this sold for more, or oh, this sold for way less than I thought. That kind of hurts.
Oh yeah, or like not getting a single like, and it's like I thought this would like be like my top like host or something. And yeah, it's hard at times, and I know like sometimes it's the algorithm or all that, but doesn't always make it feel better.
The algorithm's the bane of my existence.
Yeah.
When you're kind of feeling like it's really stressful or it's really hard to do things, do you have any other like ways that you cope with that or work through that besides like, I know reaching out for help and giving yourself grace is like the A game, but is there any other skills that you have that help you out of?
I'm still trying to figure it out. I think sometimes it can vary for me. So I'm autistic and I have ADHD, and just sometimes like the balance of that can be different on the day to day. So I think just really having to be patient with myself is kind of being like the bigger thing, and letting my mind kind of decide what it wants to do. I feel like when I try to force something, that's kind of what sets me down like a spiral or like in a bad mood, and just don't enjoy like the thing I kind of force myself to do. So I've been being more patient with myself, because once I start doing the thing, like I go like I'll spend a lot of time doing whatever it is. So I just have to be patient and let myself get to the point that I'm ready to do whatever it is.
Thanks for sharing that. So, can you tell us any ways that you feel like your autism helps you like be like work as an artist and helps you go through the creative process? Because like there are ways that your brain works differently that allows you to see things and work through things differently than everybody else, right?
Yeah, I think it can be good and bad, because like my brain, I feel like will never stop thinking. Like I'm always like either having like a conversation with myself or just randomly thinking of stuff, like and replaying things like over and over. Like if I'm thinking about something, like I can sometimes think about like 100 times in like an hour or something. So it's like it's on repeat. It doesn't go away. So sometimes that can be good if it's like a good thought, like and like it's something like if I'm like really excited to make something, like I keep like repeating it. It's like, oh, I could change this or adjust it or like all that. Except color, like picking color, I feel like it's really, really difficult. But yeah, but yeah, I feel like it can help me a lot in some ways. And but I know like when I get in my head, like if I'm having a negative thought about like how someone's gonna like view my work, like it can make me like kind of spiral. And having those thoughts on repeat is hard. But I think those are the days I'm just kind of letting myself not post glass, so I'm not like having to worry if someone's gonna comment like wanting to either buy it. It's like I'm just not in this place to like communicate about that or just whatever it is. I think not always needing to post on social media has been nice.
Can you talk a little bit about any mentors that you've had and how they've kind of helped you find your way within class?
So when I first started, there was a forum I kind of started using, and I learned a lot from like other like soft glass artists and primarily like bead makers. So like learning what glass not to use and like all the combos and like different tutorials and what torches everyone likes. So I took a lot from that, and getting to hear like all their life experience as well, like was really nice. So along the way, going to different glass groups, I was part of like the Arizona group and also the Boston chapter as well. And so I got to meet a good amount of people and kind of see different work in person and get to hear what they like to use for glass or just kind of things to avoid or things like that. So I kind of learned a lot through that. And then I feel like now YouTube videos, which I don't really watch enough of, I really should kind of do more of that, because like when I first started, there really wasn't a ton or really any. So yeah, I'm sure there's a lot more I can kind of learn and pick up on. But yeah, I think also just using social media at times can be really beneficial, where sometimes I might not see people for a while and just kind of still keeping up to date with like certain things about glass.
Do you have any formulas that you can share, any thought processes on pricing your work? We kind of talked about it for a minute, and I know that it's something that we all struggle with, but do you have like any insight on that topic, on how you think about it?
I kind of, for some of my work, I've gone kind of what like the auction groups will pay for like some of my basic aliens. Like I know kind of how to price those. So I kind of go off that, and I think that might be a good way for me to learn how to price some of my new work, because I still haven't really figured that part out. I tried using like the formula for like that some bead artists said, which was like $1 a minute, but I kind of work fast. So that isn't really helpful at times. And so I think sometimes it's just guessing, I don't know, and just seeing if people are interested, I guess. I'm still not fully sure how to do all that.
There isn't a right answer. It's so hard. And especially with things that you've been working on for so long. Like, how do I started learning how to make eyewalls in what you said, like 2012. So how do I compile that many years worth of practicing one thing? And then, yeah, if you're doing it fast, then I don't even know. Plus your overhead, you just bought a house.
Yeah. So do you experience imposter syndrome? And if you do, how do you work through it?
So yeah, I definitely have the imposter syndrome like quite a bit. And part of that was just like growing up, I didn't have like the best like family or friends. So like they were constantly putting bad thoughts in my head. And so some of that's lingering and working through that right now and recognizing that like what people are saying now is like really nice and like trying to let go of like those past comments from those people and just recognizing that like yeah, those weren't the best people. So yeah, there's good people in my life now, like, and yeah, and it's been helping me like see my work in a different way, and just nice to also have those reminders that like my work is good.
It is good.
Thanks.
For the record.
Yeah, I love it. They're so cute. So Christina and I both suffer from anxiety and depression, and it's something that we always like to hear other people's perspectives on. We were wondering if you're comfortable sharing any parts of yourself that you may struggle in that way.
So yeah, I started struggling with depression like going into like 5th grade, kind of just realizing my social struggles, and just yeah, it kind of just kept going from there, and just feeling more and more like alone as I went through like the school years, and just not knowing what I was going to do with my life, and just really wasn't looking forward to working like full time doing something I didn't want to do. So I ended up like doing a lot of self-harm throughout the years, and then like in high school I ended up having 2 suicide attempts, and then kind of after that like still was struggling with like my emotions, and kind of turned 18, so got on like some medication to try, and that didn't really help. So like some friend offered me some drugs, so kind of started that whole thing and got addicted to a bunch of things, and that went poorly. And then so part of the moving to Arizona was nice because it helped get me sober and from like drugs. I occasionally drank, but my stomach really can't handle like any alcohol, like even like a third of a beer, like I have a chance of throwing up or being sick for hours. So that just was easy to. But moving to Arizona, I think just that relief of being away from family that and like friends that were like physically, emotionally, and like I also had like physical emotional abuse, and also had like some sexual abuse when I was young. And but like it was really nice to be in Arizona. It was nice to be away from those people and just kind of getting outside, doing adventures with Andrea. Andrea was doing a lot of mountain biking at the time, so I was doing a lot of running, and we kind of kept doing that like when we moved back to New Hampshire. But right when we moved back to New Hampshire, like all that stress and those feelings were starting to come back. And then also like sales were definitely slowing down a ton with like glass sales, and there were times where it's like my oxygen concentrator went, then like I need new glasses and need new glass, and everything kind of was starting to happen at once. Like I wasn't able to keep up with all the bills because I was also having so much medical bills as well. So I just ended up switching to pottery, partially because like the imposter syndrome, I guess. Like I didn't feel like I was successful. I wasn't doing life right. So I switched to pottery as like, hopefully this will work. But then like instantly, like I was like missing glass, like seeing other artists post glass, like made me feel really sad. So it's been a struggle at times, like up until like kind of having a studio again, because it was like I didn't have like the creative outlet I guess I needed. So it was just trying to find stuff that would fit that, but still not finding anything that worked. And so it's been nice to be back at the studio again and able to find something that will kind of give me something to do during the day that like I want to do and brings me joy and all that. Yeah, I've been still kind of trying to figure out all that, like trying different medications along the way, different therapists, and just trying it all and just keep trying.
Thanks so much for sharing all that. I just think when some people are strong enough to say it out loud, it helps the people that aren't, well, at least that way they don't feel alone.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that.
Yeah, it's so important to just like talk about it. And it's also one of the hardest things just to be so vulnerable about it. And so, but it also like listening to what you were saying, it makes sense that some days you're just like, I'm just going to be in the woods.
Yeah, it's definitely nice. Just I definitely like my alone time too, but yeah, it just sometimes it's nice to like not worry about having extra thoughts.
And Andrea seems like a gem. I can't even
kidding.
How did
Oh,
you even
yeah,
find them?
definitely.
Oh my gosh, you have such a good support system.
Mhm.
That must
It's
just
amazing. And like, so Andrea also has been going through things like she got Lyme disease, and that ended up being like a neurological, like small nerves and some other stuff going on. So that's been kind of also a new thing for both of us, is kind of taking that day by day too. Is sometimes just she's not able to like really do a ton or things like that, like going for like the hikes or like mountain biking like we used to. So sometimes it's like just there's like a river walk, like a flat path, and that's been nice to just go on and things like that. That's yeah, just kind of we're both learning different things as our relationship evolves, and just kind of doing what we do.
like it's so hard because it sounds like the exercise was one of the weird coping skills that you're able to do together, and then Lyme disease just takes that away. So it's just like another hurdle for you to have to figure it out.
Yeah, we just did like the first mountain, like the 48 4K elevation height mountains in New Hampshire. So, or is it 40? I forget. But yeah, we're gonna do like those and a few other like hiking things. So, but we'll see. Like, yeah. No. And we have other things we have, like we're gonna try and do like paddle boarding and other things. So like there's always other stuff we can do and switch up. Like, yeah.
It's finding things that you can both do together that doesn't like completely wipe her out.
Right. Yeah, definitely.
Wow. Thanks for sharing all that.
Yeah, just like we got a miniature dachshund way back in like 2009. So I didn't realize all the years, because I was always like posting like, oh, this is my therapy pup, and she can recognize like my moods and stuff, and like always wants me to rest. And I didn't realize how much she could realize before I had like meltdowns or different things and force me to lay down and stuff like that. And that's one thing I'm just also trying to learn now, is like taking rest, more resting. And since I don't have, my dog passed away in March, so kind of learning that as well too, is like learning to rest without having my pup kind of give me the signal to rest, because I always want to be doing something, and I end up pushing myself too hard sometimes and all that.
Losing your puppy in COVID times. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, COVID's been rough.
It's hard learning like your own limits, where you're like,
Yeah.
okay, it's time to stop, go have a snack.
Right. Yeah. I definitely need to get better about like eating and hydrating, because like they will sometimes realize it's 2 o'clock and haven't had any food, and well, be up at like 4 or 5 in the morning. So yeah, it's kind of rough on my stomach at times, but yeah.
Water is life.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely gotten a good habit from being in Arizona. Like torching in Arizona is definitely have to stay hydrated. Like, and even when I like in the summer, like I would torch at night. Like I would start my shift at like 9 or 10 at night and just torch till like 4 or 5 in the morning. Oh, that was so peaceful. But yeah, it's I forget where I was
Little
going with
life
that.
altering.
Right?
Life altering
Silent-
through the night shift.
Silent desert glass blowing.
Oh, it's so interesting because like Phoenix, like the population's so much, and like at night, it's a 45-minute drive from the studio, and like there would be days that would be like I would be the only car. It was so weird to be on a highway when usually it's like you're like 4 lanes, 5 lanes of like full traffic. So it's just very interesting how like it's just like everything feels like asleep and like I'm the only one out. It was so nice. Although red lights are the worst when it's at night and you're just there was one specifically that's like I would be stuck at for like a minute just waiting, be like maybe this will be the day that there's actually a car that drives by. But yeah, usually not.
Wait, so that was a good question that we skipped. Is there anything else that you feel like that you have a new perspective on to share, or anything else, or do you have like a conclusion in mind, like rest?
Well, yeah, definitely rest, hydrate, listen to like what your body's telling you. And I think like the past year and a half gotten like to hear like a lot of different people's experiences and like life viewpoints and like all the things from LGBT groups, and just hearing like so many variety is, and like just actually listening is super important.
Or to just stop and listen rather than react or
Right.
Other people can just like teach you so much if you just like allow yourself to stop and hear what they're saying.
Yeah, and I think especially where I've been a lot more vulnerable about like my posts, or that people have been more open or vulnerable to me as well, like either comments or messaging me, or even just sometimes just being like, thank you for posting this. So it's like I don't always really know more or like anything other than that, but just kind of knowing that they felt the need to kind of send that. So yeah, I'm just trying to, I think, speak my experience more and just hope that it kind of helps people. And then like I know like hearing other people's experience have helped me and learn, and just yeah.
I think that's what drew me to you, is because I don't know how I became your Facebook friend, but I feel like I know you. And I feel like I feel like I know a lot of people through Facebook, but I only know what they want Facebook to see. But I just appreciate how you're just like so real, and it makes me feel like I actually knew true you. And then I was like, we just gotta interview her.
Have like a off filter of like because sometimes I want to just like share everything, but then it's like we're trying to figure out like what's appropriate and all that. Yeah, it can be difficult.
Well, we appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much.
It's seriously like just you being able to just, you said it multiple times and I did too, but just like stopping and resting, I think that's what I needed to hear. Because that's like the story of my
it
life
is what
right
you
now.
needed
I
to
was like,
hear.
oh no, everybody that loves me keeps telling me that, and I'm just like, no, I'm like a superhuman.
Yeah, I
Until
try to feel that way too, and I come crashing down.
yeah, and then everybody that loves me has to deal with it, and they're like, we told you.
Yeah.
Something that I saw recently that like really helped me was realizing that your 110% is not like normal. That's not what you should always be doing. If you're always doing 110%, then like you're just going to be fried at some point or another. And like 90% is okay most of the time.
Yeah, and I think I experienced that definitely like the first week or two of like being at the new house, because like the first week, like so like the previous owner like buried like roofing and like a whole bunch of like stuff like in the spot that I was going to do like a flower bed. So the first like day or two I spent like, yeah, probably like 10 or 12 hours outside like picking up stuff, like pulling out like some invasive plant as well. So I spent like the first week like doing so much yard work, and then shifted into doing studio stuff and kind of spent a lot of time doing that. And now I'm kind of doing both. I'm I should rest more.
Yeah. Like the whole yard needs to be done instantaneously. I'm here now. It should all be exactly how I envision.
So I volunteer at like a garden, and I was showing them pictures, and they were like, oh, it's nice that someone already has like a path put in. It was like, oh no, that was me.
You did that all already?
You're like, I'm resting in the woods. Wink, wink, wink.
I'm resting while I tear up my lawn.
Pretty much. I'm like, this would be a good spot to rest. I'm not gonna rest here, but it would be a good spot. But I did do like a couple days of resting. So.
That's good.
Like before we even moved into the new house, like I was scheduling like a Facebook Live to do like a glass demo. It's like already it was like scheduling a bunch of things like before we even moved into the house. Then that got delayed, so yeah. Like was one time Andrea came home from work. I had the washer disassembled. I had like stained glass, like but it had like a whole bunch of like cut up pieces, and I forget what else I was doing. So I had like 3 things going at once. It's like, yeah, need to concentrate also on one thing at once sometimes.
Oh yeah.
But it's so fun to do it all.
I know, and then you can finish them all at the same time.
Like, I just did 3 things at once.
So funny. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, great meeting you.
In person.
In Zoom.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for sharing so much.
Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode of Connected in Glass. Make sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram for more information on the artists we interview and for updates on the podcast.